There's Something Wrong with the Woods. By Redditusser Ion Nawadaput 5729. I grew up in a half-Native American family with the other side Nordic and still believed in the Old Norse gods. I apologize in advance for bad grammar and or wording and spelling because not only is the story old, about 12 years, but I didn't have very good passing grades in most language-related subjects. English is my second language. The story takes place in Canada, not quite sure where because it was a no-name village close-ish to Greenland back in 2010. I am the eldest child of my father's side, the Nordic side, and my father had been previously married to an Irish woman and had divorced around when I was 5, 22 currently, and later married a woman of Navajo and Native American descent. I have 2 brothers and 1 sister. Second oldest being closest to my age is 20, John's step-brother, third oldest which is my sister 17, Teleny, blood-related, and then my youngest brother, Adam. 17, as well. Adam is 4 months younger than Teleny. Going back to the no-name village, when me, my mom, and dad, along with John, moved to the village. Me and John had always noticed that the forest behind our house had always seemed off. Not in a weird way like as in it felt wrong, which it did, but whenever we had walked in front of the woods it's like someone hit the mute button along with turned off the lights in the room next door. While we were in the house the sounds resumed and went back to normal. My mom has already had both of my younger siblings, both 3 years old now at the time. Me and John specifically got along very well despite being looked at weirdly when we explained to people we were brothers. This is important later on for a very specific reason. Our property was around 45 to 65 acres in size, and the woods took up around 60 to 70% of the property. We had 2 houses on our property. We were renting out the other house to an old folks woman that told us stories about the things that wander our woods and that due to our heritage we had a bad omen involving all of the creatures. The old woman had mentioned Loki's children and an old corrupted Norse god I had never heard of before. Anyway, she also mentioned the fire giants along with the ice giants and trolls and hell spawns that even Emer couldn't have imagined. She also mentioned Wendigos, Fleshgates, Skinwalkers and Dogmen. I had known all of those legends except for the hell spawns and 2 more things she mentioned. The old god and the Wendigo spawn, she described both as similar beings as one had created the Wendigos and the other creates the hell spawns, and she had also said they might indeed be the same being. After hearing about all of those we still decided to play in the clearing in front of the woods and slightly past the tree line until one day we heard the utmost demonic guttural growl that not even hell or Satan could conjure. Those events took place about 3 years after the story had started in 2010. I had a computer then and decided to try and figure out what could have made that deep guttural growl, but I couldn't find anything, and I scoured the internet, and I mean I skimmed through every single article or reading I could find, and then decided to go to the old folks woman, and she said we had encountered a hell spawn. I had realized then that the woods were evil. Things had only gotten worse from there. The folks woman had her home broken into and we found her body the next day on the trail cam. Her body was thrown. We saw one small feature of the thing that had murdered her. Its hand. Its hand was a demonic crimson red, and that outrules a Wendigo instantly because a Wendigo doesn't care much if it's seen, and if it did it would tear the camera apart, but this thing only wanted its presence known. It wanted us to find out what was hiding in the woods. And me and John sadly found out. Around a year later, around Christmas, was a very special week. Preparing for Christmas. It was so cheery and wonderful. But all good things need to come to an end. We needed to go and cut down a pine tree for our Christmas tree, and we were making it big this year. This tree was practically the tallest we could see without heading far past the tree line. We had taken it back with the help of villagers and our dad and uncles. Fast forward to the evening. With the whole village's help we managed to put it up and decorate within the evening. But sometimes things don't like bright lights. We awoke to the sound of panting, and we looked out the window and found a 25-foot-tall behemoth picking up the tree by its trunk and hurling it like a javelin straight into town. It was a crimson red again. It matched the exact description of the claws, and we took a picture. It had noticed its presence had been mad clear and stared directly into me and John's souls, and then it lumbered toward our house. and said something unrecognizable that if you could put into letters would look something like this. Tato Tiwoila. It sounded unintelligible but almost sounded like it made sense. Then I realized it was speaking ancient Nordic backwards, and then it took me a second to be able to think of what it had said and be able to translate it. Death to you all. On text it almost looks cringe, but in real life you would have been scared shitless. Major time skip, but that was literally the last we saw the thing until this year. We saw it this October and we had encountered a hell spawn, and it wasn't that. It was the old god, and it wanted blood. It had killed our dogs, our sheep, our horses, and a few villagers, and heavily injured my father. We experienced a few Wendigo encounters as well, but not anything trying to hurt us other than the god. The god is quite literally right outside my window watching me as I type, and had spoke a few unintelligible things again, but not backwards or anything, just straight nothing but gibberish. He is tapping on the window and it's starting to crack. If I don't add an update soon I might be gone or worse.